I'm just gonna talk. I don't know what I'm gonna say. Something about AI, maybe, brain rot, Buddhism, Taoism, cigars, mm, whatever. I'm gonna try not to stop. That's my challenge to myself. I'm gonna talk, and then I'm gonna just keep going. So cigars, let's see. First cigar I smoked, I was 9, so it was 1999. I was on a camping trip with my dad and a family friend from England. My dad had recently gotten back from a trip to Cuba with my mom and brother. I didn't go. Maybe I was too young. I don't know. But they went to Cuba, and my dad brought back some Cuban cigars. And our friend who was visiting after the trip, he came to visit. He's from England. He liked cigars. His name was Philip. I don't remember too much, but we hiked. It was like, we hiked, it felt like a long way. And we got to our campsite, and it was, dusk or something around the campfire, and we lit up a couple cigars. And so I took a few puffs. I don't think tobacco's the best thing, probably. It's probably not the best for your health. I don't think it looks cool. It's not really, in my opinion, it doesn't really. But there's just something about smoking a cigar that I like, and maybe it's because I have this fond memory of being a kid smoking a cigar, which at the time, it was really nice cigars from Cuba. The time I had no point of comparison. I didn't really like it at the time, but it did feel like, well, this is cool. I'm a kid and I'm smoking a cigar. So I still smoke them sometimes, and it's cool. So now I'm sitting here. I'm in kind of a weird mood today, and I thought I would follow through and just make a video. So I heard something cool the other day about this idea. So the topic was going viral on the internet. And what this guy was saying, I'll link the video, maybe. I won't link the video. I'm not gonna freaking edit this and remember to link anything, but the guy, I can't remember his name, famous guy, internet thinker, whatever. He was saying, you really don't, going viral is a trap. It's the trap that social media plays, right? It's like, if you can go viral, if you happen to do well on social media, then you feel like, well, I have to do it again. And then you're just becoming kind of like a puppet of the algorithm. You're just you're putting all your creative energy into what will the algorithm like and reward. And then you're known for this kind of viral thing. So then you want to do more of it, and you get kind of siloed into these things. And that's how the algorithm works. And anyone who's trying to do kind of like work in the world and maybe run their own creative business or make a living as an artist or as a whatever, just not have a job that for someone else's business, but to like try to make a living on your own work. It's kind of clear, like, well, you need to do something on the internet. So a lot of people fall into the thing of like, well, I have to make content. I have to create videos that I don't really want to do and blah, blah, blah. And this guy was saying, well, instead of trying to go viral, just stop that whole thing and just create the things you want to create, and slowly but surely maybe that will be more rewarding, and maybe the people who like hearing you, the real you, they might enjoy listening. So I thought, who knows? I think probably the number of people that will listen to this is low, but whatever. I'm trying to retrain myself around like not creating for some mass applause or to like have some super profound polished ideas, but just to start talking. So that's what I'm doing. We'll see how it goes. And I'm smoking a cigar. So brain rot, that's another thing that's been on my mind. I recently stopped looking at shorts. I think it's the shorts that are the issue. So they've done some studies on like attention and stuff, and obviously our attention spans are dwindling, and I've felt it myself. And I think since all the platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, obviously any platform now, you log on, you go down there, and the first thing they try to funnel you is the short content. So like I love YouTube, and I used to really like think of it as sort of different than other social media because it doesn't feel like so brain rotty. Like you can watch people talking about topics that are interesting. You can learn things on YouTube in a way that I think in other platforms you can't. But now that they're pushing the shorts, it's like I'll open YouTube, and the next thing I know, I'm in the same dumbass thing, just blah 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 blah, And I like to laugh, so I'm always watching funny videos, and I'm laughing. So then I'm addicted to that, and I'm like, well, I want to keep laughing or whatever. You know how it is, and it fucks up. It fucks up the brain. It fucks up. I think it fucks up the soul. It fucks you up. So periodically then I will just like try to stop using social media. And so oh shoot. My thing went out. Oh my gosh. Oh god, this is probably a no-no, but I'm gonna try to find my lighter. So I've kind of been trying to just not like look at those shorts. So I haven't stopped using social media because, like many people, I think, my work is connected. So I kind of, for work things, different, I guess professional reasons. Like I have to log on to either my own account or someone else's account to follow up with work stuff. So I can't just delete the apps, but I have been just like making a very conscious decision to not look at shorts. So that I think is a big deal because it's connected with, I think looking at the shorts is connected with rotting your brain, destroying your attention span, making you generally feel worse about life. It's very strange. I don't understand the causality of it, but it's true in my observation. The more time I spend looking at short form content, the worse I feel about life. And it's what's tricky about it is it's hard to see the causality. So it's not apparent. It's not completely apparent. For example, let's say I'm scrolling and watching my favorite comedians, and I'm just seeing funny thing after funny thing. I'm laughing. Maybe I do that for 40 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, enough, and then I do something else. On the surface, I can't obviously discern that activity has done something negative to my consciousness, really, because I'm like, well, I like to laugh. I appreciate it. I appreciate people's creative work, so no obvious downside. But what happens is there's an accumulation that occurs, and we all know this to be true at this point in 2026. We all know social media is fucking us up. And so anyway, I made a decision a few weeks ago to stop looking at short form stuff, and I think that's definitely a good idea. I encourage you to try that. And that's kind of also playing into why I'm trying this long form thing. It's not, and also it's tied in again with this other question of creating content that's appealing and exciting and dopamine giving, and just kind of seeing the problem with that. Seeing, even if I got really good at creating content that was exciting and people shared and were like, whoa, this is amazing, oh my god, this is the most funny thing, this is the most incredible thing, wow, oh my god, he distilled so much into one thing, whatever the goal is with content. I kind of have this feeling of no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make boring content where most people will turn away because they don't want to be bored. Sorry, it's trash day. So that's a significant thing. I don't want to be bored. I don't know that anybody actively, without some reflection, would say, yes, I want to be bored. But the truth is, being bored is a highly valuable experience. Highly valuable. And let me see if I can explain why I believe that to be true. I have this thing, I don't know if you've heard this idea of karmic thing. I feel like it's like every time I try to create a video like this, the noise is out of control. It's like it can be a totally quiet day, and I'll try to make a video, and then it's the loudest possible day. Anyway, I don't think people want to be bored, but I sort of think that's the problem, a big problem. And I think deep down we all know that it's a problem, and that we're missing out on significant growth as people by our obsession with not being bored. The reason I feel this very strongly is I've done a lot. I mean, it's all relative. Relatively, I've done a lot of sitting meditation and boring, repetitive, I guess you could say spiritual, spiritual practice, I guess, in situations like Buddhist retreat centers or, Taoist Qigong places where the thing that you're doing is not inherently or automatically interesting or captivating. And the practice, in a way, is to become so absorbed into a repetitive thing that you become deeply, deeply interested in your moment-to-moment experience as it's unfolding, without this additional layer of needing it to be stimulating to you or needing it to be really novel. So for example, if you turn off this video and are just like, I'm gonna sit there and not do anything for 1 hour, sure, this is probably a trend, on some corner of the internet, I'm sure it is. But if you choose to just not do something, you will quickly find that your default is like, well, fuck, this is not satisfying, And this is where Buddhism is teaching, like, well, yeah, your mind, as it habitually becomes your habitual mind is not satisfied with like anything. Even stimulating experiences, there's some layer of like, yeah, it's not enough, or as soon as you have it, you want the next one. So it's this kind of losing game. But even on just a basic level, like the habitual mind, the thought process, our normal preferences and desires that we all have, the default is that we're not content. And that's why we reach for social media or anything. Like right now, in a way, I'm making this video. Could be because I'm not content just doing nothing, I think there's a spectrum though, because choosing to do something creative is way better, in my opinion, than choosing to do something like scrolling social media, because one is exercising your own inner resources in a way, and the other is so passive it just makes you dumb. So what was I saying? The experience of being bored is significant. So even if you don't ever become like skilled with meditation, and when I say skilled with meditation, what I would mean by that, I guess, is like the skill of being able to have your consciousness, your awareness, your attention, I guess, be able to, for one, just like rest on a chosen focal point, maybe. For example, the breath. Like, to be skilled with meditation, one could sit down and say, okay, I will have my consciousness rest on this process of breathing. We've all heard of this. We've all heard of it. We all know kind of what that is, but the experience of being able to do that in a skilled way, I would say, is not being constantly pulled away from that object. And the thing is, to develop that skill is incredibly profound thing. It's not the goal of Buddhism. It's not the goal of really, I don't think, any spiritual tradition that I'm aware of. But it's like it's a big deal to be able to, I guess you could say, direct your consciousness, or like direct your consciousness enough to the point where you can let go and have your consciousness go deeper into that which you are exploring, if that makes sense. So to be able to rest, really rest your consciousness and have that resting provide a deeper level of awareness or understanding of your life and your lived reality, that's like a huge deal. And it's, words don't do it justice. I really don't think so. You can't just hear someone say, oh, it's a big deal. But if you've experienced any degree of that, you realize that is a huge deal. That's a huge deal, because the mind that's able to rest or absorb into things becomes very healing. And a lot of just healing, I think, naturally unfolds from that. Like your nervous system, for one, is going to go into a different mode that isn't so active or like trying to fend off things, It's going to go into a mode that's different, that's conducive to, I think, deep healing. The reason that being bored is such a significant thing is that being bored comes way before that skill develops. So let's say I'm like, okay, I want to have that skill. For example, let's say I have anxiety, and I'm finding, due to all my habits of thinking and blah, 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 and scrolling and being on dating apps and not getting the things that I want, or whatever it is, or, of course, like the news and yeah, you understand. Okay, I'm super anxious, I'm a mess, it's not good for me, it's not good for anybody. And it's like, I want to change that. And I think what I have to look at is my consciousness. Like, of course, we need to work on outer things. But at the end of the day, if your consciousness is scattered and constantly spinning, and you're going to be stressed. You're going to be unhappy. I'm sorry to say, like very unhappy. So it's fairly easy to come to this conclusion of like, whoa, I need to find like a healthy sense of like being able to direct my consciousness, and then I need to develop the skill of being able to have my consciousness rest and go deeper and bring me nourishing, like deep nourishment, basically, instead of chronic stress, tension, all that. That's a hard thing to accomplish. I think it's always been hard, but in this day and age, it's very hard. But I don't think it's too hard to see that would be useful and that would be good. I think that's why, the mindfulness movement is so, or was at least, so popular in Western thought. I mean, it's been popular in Eastern spiritual systems for a long time. But in the West, in the last 30 years or something, this idea of mindfulness has really gotten to be kind of a buzzword. There's a little rabbit who's coming right up. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? Yeah, he's like right here. I'll see if I can turn this around. I don't know if you'll be able to see him. Yeah, there he goes. Anyway, so I don't think it's I think many people will probably be like, yeah, I want that. So I'm going to do mindfulness and they'll, try it. But I think that I know. The reality is that actually well before you feel any kind of like deep nourishment or anything, what you feel is boredom and kind of agitation. It's like, ugh. Like if you were just to turn this off and not do anything, I don't want to project, but my guess is you would feel kind of like after maybe 2 seconds or after maybe 10 minutes, you start to feel like, I don't, this is weird. I don't know. I need to do something. And one way of saying that is you feel agitated, but another is you kind of feel like bored or a lack of stimulation, you know? And that experience, that kind of agitated lack of stimulation experience is, I think, the antidote of brain rot. I think that is like literally, that's the experience that starts to repair the brain rot. So it's kind of bitter medicine, actually. I think that's the thing. Mindfulness is often portrayed as like this really nice thing. Actually, it's bitter. It's like a tough pill to swallow, because you have to be, well, okay, now I'm going to sit here and feel agitated. And maybe an hour goes by and you stand up and you don't feel really any less agitated. That's possible. Why? Because this is a skill that's hard. Like if you're trying to learn how to play concert piano and you spend an hour learning, by the end of that hour, you're still going to fucking suck at it. This is where I do think Buddhism has a lot of valuable insight to share. One of the insights being, it kind of sets the stage pretty good, because it says like, well, if you do this, if you choose to engage in working with your consciousness, you're gonna find dissatisfaction. Like that's the first noble truth, you know. So then you don't really have an excuse at that point, or it's not an excuse. You don't have an opportunity to feel like the exception. Like, oh, I have a mind that's agitated when I don't do anything. Probably other people feel good when they sit there and don't do anything. I feel bad. I'm not cut out for this whole like working with the consciousness thing, because it's too, it's uncomfortable. Buddhism's kind of saying, I think, the Buddha kind of said, I think, like, no, that's universal. Like, the untrained mind is not the most fun thing to sit with. So I'm kind of talking the negative side, but the positive side though is actually you'll probably find if you do allow yourself to get bored, what you'll notice eventually, maybe not in the first hour or the first 20 minutes or the first 10 minutes, I just made up an hour, but you won't notice it at first, the benefits, but if you stick with it, even just following through with feeling bored or agitated for 10 minutes a day without reaching for the phone, without reaching for this, it'll start to help you, especially, or you'll start to feel some kind of nourishment that will happen. Maybe not universally, because I think there's a wide variance, if you have like a psychiatric or like severe thing, maybe you need other support before you can really like sit there and be bored and have it ever turn into something fruitful. But I think for many, many people, you will find like there's something beneficial about this experience of being bored. And what it is, I think, is like, it's like undoing the brain rot. It's undoing the kind of dopamine saturated fatigue that we're all swimming in. So yeah, that experience is good. And especially if it's then also paired with not, like actively not giving into the habit of scrolling short form content. Because if you practice being bored for 10 minutes a day, but scroll short form content for 3 hours a day, you're never gonna tip that scale. Whereas if you just like stop with the short form shit, only watch boring videos like this, where you're probably thinking like, where's this video going? Should I stop this? This guy isn't that articulate. Like, he's just some dude. What does he know? Those are all good thoughts to have. I don't know if they're good thoughts. They're whatever. They're just thoughts, but they're all thoughts you're having. But the ability to sit with something that isn't immediately gratifying, that's the point. So by practicing being bored, agitated, and not reaching for the stimulation, as well as trying to cut out the worst culprit of the overstimulation, which is the short form thing. I think that's a good place to start. I think that will slowly but surely start to stop this like really pernicious move towards just a rotten brain. So that's one of my things I'm against is brain rot. That's what I'm realizing. Like, I'm against it. I think it's not good. And I think in a way we tend to feel a little bit powerless because it's everywhere. But I think it's simple to the point of not even stopping social media, but just stopping the shorts. Okay, I think I've said that enough. Yeah. But then, related, I'm learning. So I'm on the dating app because I'm single. I've been single for 7 months or something. And actually, I met a handful of really amazing people through the dating apps. So I can't necessarily say they're like really. I'm not making some, like full judgment of them as negative. But I do think the same way scrolling the short thing is bad for your mind and consciousness, like seriously bad. Not just like, oh, it's not the best, but I think it's actually like really bad. I think it's really bad. And I think if not for you, for others at least, it's actually fucking people up. You've seen it. If not in your own mind, you've seen it in other people. Like, oh man, so-and-so is really like struggling with the scrolling all day thing. It's bad. It's very addictive. It has a bad effect. So I also think the way that dating apps work is a similar mechanism of like quick content. Quick, like, okay, here's someone, look at their pictures, okay, make a decision, move on. Okay, so look at the. So it's this kind of constant stimulation of very short little things, and it builds on itself, and then next thing you know, it's like, whoa, I just spent quite a while doing that. And it's even a little more, in my opinion, it's a little more dangerous in a way, because it's easy to rationalize. Like, well, I'm doing this because I'm looking for something that I find to be very important. Whatever your goal is for the dating app, whether you're just trying to, find some fun, casual experience, or you're trying to find the next love of your life or whatever, or the love of your life, whatever. That's a very important thing for people. So it's easy to be like, well, I'm not just scrolling. I mean, I'm kind of scrolling through these dating apps, but it's in service of this really important thing in my life, which is to find connection. I mean, connection is huge. We need it so bad. Man, this cigar keeps going out and it's raining, so I guess I'm gonna take that as a sign. I'm gonna go inside. But yeah, so connection. Like, we really want it. We really, really want it. But I think it's the same. I think it's the same problem. I think it's the same problem. I think it's the same problem as short form content, because the end of the day, it's the same thing. You're just pumping your brain full of these little impressions that either make you feel good or not so good, and you decide, and you're in control. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking dating apps the same thing as short form content. Not a good idea to scroll on them. But then how are you supposed to use them if you're not scrolling on them? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that you really can, because they're designed in that way to scroll. I don't have an answer to that. I'm still on a dating app. Like today I was doing that. It's a weird one. The dating app one is a weird one. I think that's a very strange version of rotting your brain is spending time on those things. I'll have to think more on that. Yeah. I mean, I think in the end, the good part of the dating app is actually if you meet somebody and have an interaction. Whether even if that interaction isn't really that good, it's still good, in my opinion. That's my view of it. It's still good to meet people, interact with people. In this time, it's like we really do struggle, many of us, with isolation and just not having enough human interactions. So it's good. It's a really good thing to have interactions, even if they aren't really satisfying. Again, this is where Buddhism comes in handy, because it's like, kind of already starting. It's like, it's not going to really be. You don't have some really unrealistic expectation. There's going to be good parts and bad parts to going out there and meeting people. So that's really all I have to say today. Bye.